This is a 5-pound bag of 90% silver quarters that I just bought. And today we're gonna go through them, see if we got anything really cool, all while talking about 90% and what's going on in the market with premiums right now. So let's dump these out, see what we have, and get into it. My channel is sponsored by sdbullion.com. New customers can get their first order of gold or silver at spot by going to sdbullion.com/new. Now you might recognize the bag. It's actually a Crown Royal bag, and this is a bag I already had. I put the quarters in here after I bought them, but they came in, you know, just a big plastic baggie like they normally do. And what I do know is that we're gonna go through these and I'm gonna see if I have any really nice dates that are in the 50s or 40s, but we're not gonna find a 32 DNS in here because those are your key dates, and you're not gonna find them going through a pile of 90% silver. It's just not going to happen. So we're not gonna find any key date coins. There might be some standing liberties. In fact, I know there's at least one because I saw it when I was looking through the plastic when I bought them. But we're not gonna find any better dates. We're not gonna find any key dates. But what I wanted to do actually while I'm going through these to see if we have any of those better coins is talk a little bit about what premiums on 90% are doing. And they have been quite a bit down. Now, if you saw earlier this week, I did a video where I called the coin shops. I called 4 different coin shops and I asked them, I actually spoke with them. I didn't just ask them a question, but I asked them about the market. I asked them what premiums were doing, and I found out what their buy and their sell price was. Not just their buy price, not just their sell price, but both. And what that gives us an idea about is what the spread looks like in coin shops right now. So a spread, if you're wondering, is the difference between buy and sell. So for example, if I were to take these 4 coins into a coin shop and they were to offer me $13 a piece for them, but then I wanted to buy them, they wanted to charge me $18, that's their spread. Their spread is $5. And that is the exact spread of the first shop that I called, by the way. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put a link for it down below. Make sure you go over and watch it. It was a great video, and we got to hear from 4 different coin dealers who had no idea that I was recording because it was in what we call a one-party consent state, and I definitely got some good information out of them. But anyway, we had, 13 to 18, that's a $5 spread, and that seems like a lot. That's a pretty significant profit. I mean, let's be real, that's like 30%. So you could say, man, if I buy 90% silver from that shop and pay 18 times and I have to sell it back to them and I only get 13, silver's gonna have to skyrocket for me to make any money. And the truth is, you wouldn't be wrong if you sold to that shop, but there are better shops out there as far as what they pay. But to be honest with you, that shop at $18 per dollar was actually selling at a quite decent price in this market. I'm serious too. So if you want to know how that works, if you were to take 18 and then multiply it by 1.4, that's going to give you how much per ounce you're paying. In fact, let's do the math. So if we take 18 times 1.4, you get 25.20. Now, if we subtract what spot price was at the time of 22.87, you can see we come up with 233. That is roughly 10% over spot. Again, that's really not bad because some of the other shops I called were 19 or 19.50. So for example, the shop that I called that was selling for 19.50, if we take 19.50 times 1.4, you get 27.30 minus 22.87 is $4.43. That is almost 20%. So this shop at 18 is 10% over spot. The shop at 19.50 is 20% over spot. But if you have to go back and sell them, the shop that was offering us 13 that was selling for 18 was actually quite low for their buy price because we called another shop that was paying us 16. So if we take 16 times 1.4, you can see it comes up to 22.40. So that is very close to spot. If we subtract 22.87, you can see that's 47 cents. And then if we add another 2.33 to that, it's about $2.80 between buy and sell. Now that still seems like a lot, and it definitely is if you're looking at stacking silver, especially 90% silver on a basis of you need to make all the money that you can make. But as we've said many times, and I'm not going to dig into that in this video, as we said many times before, if you're buying silver as a way to make money, like in other words, as a way to make more fiat currency, that's not the way you want to do it, because silver, gold, whatever it is, it shouldn't be looked at as an investment, but rather more like a savings account. So when I'm adding silver and gold to my personal stack, I'm not looking at, man, I hope it goes up to 30 so I can make a bunch of money. No, I'm looking at it as I want to put that aside because I believe in silver and gold, especially stuff like this, is real money. Now, in that video, some people had commented, those spreads, That's why they call it junk silver, because you get paid junk for it when you sell it. But as I showed you, if you watch the whole video, it's not all shops that are paying that way. In fact, I know of a local shop near me that is paying full melt value for 90% silver. And even if you go online, for example, SD Bullion, who is a sponsor of mine, just so you know, they are paying 50 cents an ounce over spot for 90%. And if it's half dollars, they're paying $1 over spot. So now if you compare that number to what the shop was selling it for when they were selling it for just 18, that's really close. Silver doesn't need to go up a whole lot if your intent is to turn a profit. But again, you shouldn't be looking at this as a way to turn a profit. There are better avenues for that. I invest, I've said this before, maybe you've heard it, maybe you haven't, but I invest in things like tech stocks and stuff like that. And when I invest in those, as an avenue, as a way to make more fiat currency, because I do believe, in the companies that I'm investing in, and maybe my gamble is not going to pay off. I don't know. So far, they've done pretty well. I've invested in Tesla. I've invested in Amazon. A lot of people invest in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, and that's how they make their fiat currency. And, I said in a previous video that, I look at cryptocurrency. I'm not a big fan of cryptocurrency, but what I mean by that, I'd said in my last podcast that I'm not a fan of cryptocurrency, but what I mean by that is that I'm not a fan of it because I don't believe in it as a fundamental way to save your wealth, to preserve your wealth, if you will. That's not how I look at it. I look at it as an avenue that you can make more money, and there have been plenty of millionaires made off of cryptocurrency. I'm not knocking it, but I don't look at crypto as a way to save money. I look at it as an incredibly risky investment that can pay off in dividends, and it has for so many people. I myself have made money on cryptocurrency in the past. I invested in a crypto called Tron, I want to say back in 2018. I had some money in Bitcoin and Litecoin and Ethereum, Cardano. I actually still have some Cardano because I haven't gotten around to selling it because I took such a loss on that and I'm waiting for it to turn around. But my point is that those are avenues to make more fiat currency. I don't look at gold and silver as that avenue. That's not what when I make the fiat currency, then I turn it into gold and silver to store it as real money, because I'm looking at this stuff as a way to store my real money. I'm looking at those avenues as a way to make more money. I'm looking at this as a way to store it when I have it. Now, yes, of course, I could put it into a bank or a savings account, but I'm not a big fan of the dollar. Obviously, I recognize its importance. I think a lot of stackers will say, oh, the dollar is trash. The dollar's not trash. I'm sorry, it's not. Like, granted, don't get me wrong. I recognize that the value of the dollar is decreasing, and what you can get in goods and services for a dollar is definitely less than what it was just a couple of years ago. But that doesn't mean it's trash. It's still what we need for our everyday transactions, our everyday life. I mean, unfortunately, I've said this before. I'm not going to get into detail on it, but it's still what we need for our everyday life. But getting back into 90% silver, because that's what this video is about. This stuff right here, people call it junk silver. They call it trash, but I really do love with 90% silver. The reason that I stack 90% silver, even though there are times where the buy and sell spread on 90% is worse than rounds, worse than eagles, worse. In fact, I'll be honest with you guys, the spread on 90% silver right now is probably worse than any other silver out there. But I love that if you find the right seller, that you can get fractional silver very close to spot. Only a couple of bucks over spot is really not bad. Where the market has been recently, you would have been paying like it's $10 an ounce over spot for this stuff back in March, April, and May. So the fact that you can find, if you find a seller, and I called two yesterday, and I'm sure you can do even better. I saw people making comments saying that they have a person selling it to them, I should say, sorry, for $17 per dollar. That's even closer to spot. That's fantastic. So the fact that you can get a fractional silver coin for almost as close to spot as you can, just a generic 1 ounce of a round, and the fact that it's a real coin is why I am a big fan of 90% silver. So yeah, if your plan is to go out and sell it to the shop that's only going to offer you $13 per dollar, it's not going to work out very well for you. But if your plan is to store this stuff aside and keep it for the future when you need it, then yeah, I really do like silver. I do like 90%. I wouldn't say put all of your money in the 90%. Obviously, I don't. I mean, I do myself stack a lot of 1 ounce silver rounds, and I do have eagles, and I'm starting to buy more eagles as the premiums come down. I didn't buy eagles for a long time, by the way. The premiums on eagles were just too darn high. Man, we have not seen anything in these so far, by the way. But I definitely am starting to look at eagles again now that the premiums are coming down, and with the premiums coming down on rounds, and you can get 10 ounce bars for $2 or less an ounce over spot. It's really good time, I think, in my opinion. And this is not financial advice. I'm not telling you what to do. But it's a really good time for a silver stacker if you are a silver stacker that's not looking to make a bunch of fiat currency. If you're a silver stacker that's looking to continue to increase your stack, we are seeing lower spot prices right now with the spot coming down over this last week. We are seeing lower premiums, and we still have beautiful silver that we can add to our stack, and we can get more of it for that fiat currency that I just talked about. So if you make $500 that you can spend in silver, you can get more silver today for that $500 than you could back in March, that you could back just a couple of months ago, and that you could back just 2 weeks ago even. And that's great. That's great. Now, again, I get it if you're looking to sell, or if you stare at your stack every day and you're like, man, I can't believe how much less it's worth than when I bought it back in March. I'm sure it's not the best feeling in the world, but if you're just looking at it as in the fact that you're glad that you have physical money in a savings account that is not the US dollar, that's why I like it. And I'm sure there are going to be haters, because I get haters on every video like this saying, oh, silver's trash, you know, there's so many better ways to put your money. Sure, whatever, that's fine. And every single one of those people, I tell them the same thing. I tell them that's not why I buy silver, and if you think it is, you probably haven't watched much of my channel. And that's fine. I don't expect everyone to watch every single video that I put out. I don't expect them to listen to every word that I say. In fact, that's why you sometimes hear me, if you guys are avid followers of the channel, that's probably why you hear me say some of the same things more than once, because not everyone listens to everything. Not everyone watches every video. Some videos get 10,000 views. Some videos get 100,000 views, right? Not everyone watches everything. So I try and not repeat myself too often, but at the same time, you just need to reiterate some points as you are talking to people about silver and why you stack it and why you believe in it and why it matters to you. So we're going to cut it off here. I will finish this up on my own. Again, we're not going to find anything special anyway, but if you're wondering how much silver is actually here, there is $100 face value exactly. So 400 silver quarters is what I have here to go through. And again, I don't expect to find anything, but I do want to know what you're doing. So do me a favor, leave me a comment down below and tell me what you're doing right now with 90%. Are you continuing to stack it? Are you done stacking 90% silver? Are you done with silver at all? I don't care. Just let me know what your thoughts are. I would love to know where you are. So guys, thank you again so much for watching. If you haven't seen it yet, that video where I called out all those coin shops, I'm going to put that up above. You watch that right now. If you haven't done it yet, now's the time. Go check it out. Other than that, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you in the very next video. Have a great rest of your day.